David Nguyen, or Win.
I don't think it will get ugly for David Nguyen. For David Nguyen.
The stalker, narcissist, intimidator, cross-dressing predator is battling it out with a new figure in the community, facing identity theft accusations and possibly dishing out some BOMB threats. If you're new to David, a little context is this fella stalks, harasses, and sometimes flashes women, resists all forward progress with his plethora of mental illnesses, and can't help but battle it out nearly every single day with his detractors. If you need the full story on David though, I suggest my first video on him, or you could just go for the whole playlist of videos I have if you want the bigger picture. Recently we've been introduced to a new figure going by Liquid David Nguyen. Now, we last talked about Liquid introducing himself as the one and only real David Nguyen. Now, in the second video he's dropped, he's provided an alleged photo ID, proving he's the one and only real David. Which, honestly, it's been hilarious keeping up with how frustrated David has been getting over this whole Liquid arc. On Twitter, we see one alias clearly created by Dave just bugging out about Liquid's claims of owning many music venues, but the more worrying part about his spasms during this beef with Liquid is that he's been throwing around this idea of an unexpected demo occurring to one of Liquid's music venue properties. So Liquid says that he owns all these so-called music venues and hotels. Huh. Be ashamed if one of your so-called establishments had an unexpected demo to it. Now, we know Davey Boo is obsessed with at least one lady who performs at events like these, so it's real concerning that maybe in a little fit of rage and the fact that he isn't really acknowledged by the girl he believes deserves to show him attention, and anger at Liquid for being a little more successful than him owning all these venues, I think things could boil up into him attempting some sort of attack at one of these events in some sick, twisted retaliation attempt. It's pretty crazy that he's latched onto this Liquid guy so hard in a matter of a week or so, and he's already started threatening either the guy's life or property. Just really goes to show how unstable the psyche of this fella David really is. Moving forward though, we have more Twitter posts of the gremlin getting insanely pressed about the presence of Liquid, throwing a fit not believing he owns all these music venues, and throwing accusations into the wind of one of the frequenters of the David Nguyen subreddit claiming it's for sure them controlling the Liquid account. I'll read him for you. You don't own any concert venue or any of that BS. It's a troll act that no one else is buying. No official businesses would believe some stupid internet rumor that's spread by trolls with no evidence to back it up. So this fool named blank decided to create an account called Liquid to troll me. MF, it's so obvious you're behind that account. You're the only one who's so hyper-fixated and obsessed with me. Most of everyone else has moved on. Making slander videos about me isn't going to change the fact that I'm a long-time friend of this woman. I've known her since 2017 and our families are close to each other. I'll be seeing her soon in the winter and I'll buy her a cake for her birthday. He's no internet sleuth or cartoon detective driving around in a mystery machine. He hasn't cracked the code and probably won't of who runs this Liquid account, and I'm all for this eternal battle of the two Davids. It really pains the blubberball to think about this alternate David who's incredibly successful and no doubt has connections in the music industry he clearly wants to be a part of. That last tweet I feel may have been more directed towards me though, with the constant stream of videos covering him, which quite honestly I can't really see them as being slanderous considering the fact I'm mostly reading his own words and then poking fun at him. But crying on Twitter isn't the only place he's been whining about and threatening Liquid. We have not one, not two, but three more videos supposedly addressing the whole situation. The first video I have to show you guys seems to be some response to Liquid's first video. Of course, he had to go ahead and make sure his account was named the official David Nguyen, but we get to see his anger start to boil over here.
Alright, so I am coming back again today because this little fucker named Liquid David Nguyen decided to steal my alias or my identity and to make false claims and bullshit. And this little motherfucker, he's not some business mogul. He's not some guy who owns a whole bunch of stadiums and all these businesses, hotels, and all this bullshit. Or even owns like Vietnamese stadiums or event shit, in Vietnam. This guy is nothing more than just an identity thief and a troll. It's this guy. I looked up, I did some research. This guy is just like that Liquid Chris guy. I didn't know what this is about first until I did my research, and apparently Liquid David is similar to like a parody of Liquid Chris.
Hearing David talk about the Liquid Chris shit from 2009 almost makes me think he's a little self-aware, at least for a moment, until of course right after this he goes into a spiel about how Chris Chan was only a victim, and as if he didn't, himself essay his defenseless mom with dementia, but it just, of course, devolves from there. He just lacks any basic sense of reasoning when it comes to any of his detractors, and honestly, I'm all for it, because the more time he wastes getting frustrated with Liquid David and his other detractors, the less time he can spend stalking and harassing innocent women.
He was an impersonator of Chris Chan, who, is another victim of a crime. I mean, Chris Chan's also another victim of this culture too. The poor guy has autism. He was exploited and fucked and trolled and stuff. So Liquid David is just like that Liquid Chris guy. They're both impersonators. They steal people's identities, and then they make all these false claims and bullshit and stuff. And it's stupid it's stupid why people do this. Whoever's behind Liquid David, that Liquid David account, aren't you wasting time of your day or whatever and shit doing this bullshit?
It's so funny to see David come at Liquid about him wasting his time making videos like that, as if the videos they both put out aren't under 5 minutes and require maybe a minute of editing to put out. Because Davey Pooh, as I've reiterated time and time again, averages over 100 aimless posts a day on Twitter, all while working on various important projects that really just consist of him lip-syncing or cross-dressing stitched together with real-life performances and stolen or ripped TV clips. Then, what little time he has left in the day is spent gooning or fantasizing about a relationship with one or multiple poor women who either don't know him or want nothing to do with him.
You're not some business mogul, okay? You don't own these. You don't own like SoFi Stadium or all these other stadiums bullshit that you claim that you own, or you own any of these other venues. You don't own any shit, okay? You don't own any fucking thing. You're just a dumbass troll who just doesn't have anything better to do, is terminally online, and is just making up all this bullshit. And let me tell you something else too about that driver's license ID. That's not a real South Carolina state ID. You download that template from somewhere, and then you started editing that bullshit.
I don't know, David. Seems pretty real to me. Looks like a fairly legit South Carolina driver's license from what I've seen.
A real state ID looks a little different. I don't know if I could find a picture of someone else's, of a real South Carolina state ID or driver's license. But if I could find it somewhere, I would include it. His so-called state ID is not even a real state ID, because the South Carolina state ID or any other state ID does not look like that. That's a fucking troll attempt, and a very poor one at that too. That's bullshit. Okay, that driver's license ID by Liquid Chris is a fucking fake one, and he downloaded that from Google or somewhere. He edited that, but I just want to make this video into response to that little fucker's video. And, you own all these places and stuff, but that's a fake ID. But hey, since you own all these places and stuff, let's get rid of a few of them. We'll probably demo a couple of them. If you really are owning any of these businesses, get someone to demo your shit, fucker. You're a fucking loser for making all this bullshit. I mean, that's all I have to say. It is that this guy, Liquid David Nguyen, whoever's behind that account's a fucking loser. They really are. You're a fucking loser. Whoever's behind that account, you're a fucking loser. So, that'll be it.
And here it starts. David's BOMB threats against poor old Liquid Chris, which is a little crazy considering Buddy was so sure he was lying about this little business mogul, super successful music venue owner. But I think David is just coping with the idea that one of his detractors could possibly be successful, and I think it's making the guy super angry. I don't know about you guys, but I'm loving this arc so far. Bro's losing his marbles over this shit. I really hope this Liquid guy keeps putting out videos antagonizing the Booger King. Before moving forward with the posts and threats made on David Nguyen Official, I feel it's appropriate to give you guys some context as to what about this Liquid guy is pissing the gremlin off so badly. If we head over to our pal Liquid David Nguyen and watch his latest video, he makes a few announcements, such as taking up a Redditor on their offer of a free vacation, proving they're the real David with this amazing ID photo, and allegedly buying some venues in Vietnam to subsequently ban David from.
Hello everyone, today is the real one and only David Nguyen. We have a little bit to talk about. A good friend of mine sent me over yet another video of anti-David, or the fake David, crying and whining about being outed for stealing my identity. Now I thought we could have handled this like adults, without throwing threats of jail around and such. But I guess that just isn't the case here. Even recently, Auntie David has threatened to have Shalama enter one of my extremely expensive music venues I own, which in all honesty, I don't even know what that means. But the crazy thing is about Auntie David in his most recent video is in his delusions, he has claimed that apparently I am the one indulging in identity theft, which for those of you who know me is an insane and frankly just a fraudulent claim. Now, I was arguing about it with the name thief that is Auntie David is childish. I have provided my driver's license in the thumbnail, assuming that should be plenty proof to end any qualms on whether or not I am the one and only true David. In other news about my life, though, is the real David. My wife has recently become pregnant with what we are hoping are twins. Using this getaway, I have been gifted recently by who is now a good friend of mine. We will be staying in an extremely expensive suite and utilizing a $20,000 credit to visit some very quality shops nearby. I, Liquid David, need this. Get away with my wife now, especially with how busy work has been recently. For those who are unaware, I own a successful real estate business, exclusively in the sphere of music venues. In fact, I own and manage most, if not all venues or businesses, owning said venues across North America. But recently, we've decided to expand to venues in Vietnam. This past week, I've been working 15 to 18-hour days, dealing with negotiations, flying out to and back from Nam, and running over local laws with lawyers. So I'm proud to announce that in the next coming weeks, I will own nearly 35% of major music venues across Vietnam, including Hanoi Rock City. But due to recent threats against my life from Auntie David, he will unfortunately also have to be banned from all of these venues. I hope all of my supporters have had a just as successful week as I have, and I wish the worst for Auntie David.
This video, especially the ID, seems to be the match to light the flame that is Dave's huge anger issues. Of course, we have the response video we just watched, but he drops another sloppy video with how a license should look and yaps about how Liquid is a fraud.
By the way, I went to the Charleston Place Hotel again yesterday, and nothing fucking happened, so all this bullshit you're saying you get me banned from places and stuff is bullshit. None of it's true, and none of it's happened, or it's not, or is ever gonna happen, because you don't even know what my fucking real identity is. Bullshit, you fucking bullshitters. And also too, this is what a real South Carolina State ID looks like. So, Liquid David, you have just been debunked, and this picture here proves that that ID that you claim you have is fake. So, fuck off, and stop making fake IDs.
But if you really thought David lightly mentioning a forced demolition on Twitter and at the end of a YouTube video was enough of a threat to satisfy him, you'd be wrong. Buddy went on to post his latest threat, which is just the fucking entire scene from one of the Christian Bale Batman movies of Joker blowing up a hospital, blatantly ripping scenes of television as usual. I mean, the crazy bugger only put "burn to the ground" as the description here too. Honestly, if it weren't for his laziness and lack of education, I'd believe with the headspace he's in, he probably would at least try to act this threat out against who he thinks could be behind Liquid David in real life. Other than that though, we of course have the pudgy little fella acting tough on his alt Twitter, talking recklessly about you don't know who you're messing with here, bragging about how good he is with prank calls like he's some sort of middle schooler. So y'all wanna fuck with me, huh? You have no fucking idea who you're fucking messing with. I'll fuck you up like I did Hank with all those other dweebs. I prank called multiple places using Hank's number. Like, alright David, we get it. You figured out how to spoof your number for prank calls. So could all my friends in the 6th grade. Personally, I think I owe a certain mechanic named Sam up in Canada a huge apology for how much I messed up or messed with his business as a kid, but that's besides the point. It's comedic, really, seeing him try to act all menacing and tough, talking about prank calls using someone else's phone number, especially when you put in the picture this fella sitting behind the screen typing this. Probably minutes after he posted something about liking big booty Latinas or calling himself a water rooster on his main Twitter too, I bet. He's just about had it with all these detractors though, professing his need to finally find someone from Vietnam to settle down with. And he's running out of ways to escape his enemies, at least on YouTube, with his sock accounts. He just can't seem to make a new account, but also can't understand why Liquid got to make his. I need to go to Vietnam to find someone soon before I lose my fucking mind. No, I'm not banned from there because no one still has a single clue about my real identity. Liquid David can go fuck himself. I'm going to find a way to work around this QR code shit, even if it means I have to buy a new phone. I'll do that and create a new alias and get back to creating content in peace without being found. I already have some ideas of new aliases in mind. If you've been on my channel before, you know this is what David does time and time again. He gets discovered or receives a little too much attention on one of his aliases from the Reddit. He makes a new sock account and lives in peace for a day or two before he's found. I mean, he even says it in this post. I've just about had it. I can't deal with this shit every day. Coming up to find that people are coming to my sites and trashing the shit up. I did nothing wrong and I've been framed. I need new fucking aliases and identity after this. I can't deal with this shit every day. Unfortunately for the little gooner gremlin, he's pissed too many people off for them to leave him alone. Creeped on too many poor ladies and really just can't put the phone down and listen to his mental health team. Hopefully that little inpatient care stint that's been hinted at for a while now comes to fruition for the dude so he can be handled properly, but until then I'll keep updating you fellas on whatever the bugger gets up to. Thanks for watching the video all the way through though, I appreciate you guys. Later, grubbas.